What's up, guys? Now that we got most of the demolition done on the trailer, I'm over at Overkill headquarters, as you can tell by the monster truck, because today we're going to do some welding. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some trailer jacks on here, some stabilizing jacks, because I don't like these little janky things. And then we were also thinking, we were trying to plot out how the plywood was going to go in here and cutting the wheel wells, and I was going to have to fix the wheel wells, but if you notice by this cool stance she has when she's on the rover, she could probably use an axle flip. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do a little axle flip, and we're going to put some trailer stabilizing jacks on here because I don't like the janky ones that are on there. And then we're going to reinforce the floor in some spots that I know the plywood's going to need to lay. And if we do a little axle flip and a little lift, I won't need wheel wells. Ha! So we're going to go ahead and get this thing inside and start prepping for some welding. Tell you what, I wish it was this light. All right, we're inside. Hopefully the lighting, because of the canopy, doesn't screw us up too bad. But these are the current jacks, and as you can see, oh, there's no, well, not that one, but this one, there's no spring retainer in this one, so it just really, like, it definitely doesn't stay up, so we're gonna have to do something about those. This plate, a little twisted, might have to hit that with a trusty old purse. So first thing we're gonna do is get all these jacks off. Jacks off. So we're gonna get all the jacks off, and then I'll show you what we're gonna put on. All right. Those came off really easy. So that's part A is done. Ugh. Let's hope these are what I wanted. Let's see. These are supposed to be, what, 5,000 pound stabilizing jacks. There's supposed to be 4 of them in here. Survey says. Oh, okay. Ta-da. Oh, okay. They're a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be, but that's pretty cool. All right. Okay, they're a lot bigger than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be like the little shorter guys, like this long, but sick. Oh, sweet. Got a new 99-cent level. What else is in here? Oh, and a jack tool. That's neat. With a magnet in it. Check that out. Ho, 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 ho. Am I gonna use it? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. Okay, so that's all 4. Nice. Let's figure out where we're gonna put these bad boys and get them on. All right, I think the coolest part is they're gonna fit right here on the frame rail, right? Perfect. So we're gonna lift it from here. So I think what I'm gonna do is just grind this powder coat off of here and grind this powder coat off of here, and I'm literally just gonna burn these guys right onto that rail. And I'm gonna weld them on there because I don't think I'm ever gonna knock them off or hit them on anything, because what I'm gonna do next is probably lift this thing about 6 inches. That way it matches the rover. If you don't already have one of these file guys, I call it a finger grinder because it looks like a finger. These things are awesome. I know, it's blue, it's not red, because at the time they didn't have a red one. And I really wanted one. Ta-da! All right, now before you start welding, you want to make sure that your trailer's level and the jacks are touching the frame. So all the jacks are at the right height. They're all up against the frame. And you can see why I need an axle flip. Because she's up there. Also, before you start welding on the chassis, make sure you disconnect any of the batteries or any of the electronics that might be on your trailer. All right, Now it's go time. Please enjoy this music while I weld. Finished. Ha. Nice. Sweet. Welded on there, welded on there. That guy's on, this guy's on, everybody's on. This guy's right here. Whoa. Right there, yep. See, yep. Okay, good enough. Yep. That ain't coming off. Any of them. Sick. Does do-rag make me look sexy? It's a Miller. Anyway, now for my favorite part. We're gonna chop the leaf springs off. We're gonna build some more mounts. We're gonna make it a little bit taller. We're just gonna use some 2x2 block and cut off what's there and just stack it up a little bit. And then flip the axle on the leaf springs. So hopefully we get about a 6-inch lift. All right, so let's talk about trailer axles and flipping trailer axles to give you some lift. First thing you'd probably wanna do is you'd wanna flip the axle over. So you'd physically want to flip the axle over because it's got hangers. If you did that, then you have to flip the brakes back over because you can't run the brakes upside down. Here's problem number 2. If you look down this axle, you'll see that it's got a bow to it. The reason it has that bow to it is so that your wheels have camber. Well, actually it would be like, yeah, it would be this way. Because when you add weight, the trailer flexes and you're going to want it to travel down behind you relatively straight and not wander around. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this axle. I'm going to cut the brackets off, flip the brackets on the axle and leave the axle exactly as it is and just flip it to the spring under. No, axle under, spring over. Yeah, spring over because it's currently spring under. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to jack this thing up. We're going to take the entire assembly out from underneath the trailer, take it apart, flip the brackets, put it back together. Next, we'll go ahead and get these leaf springs off of here. Now, just got to find upside down. All right, so we got these guys off. We got them kind of cleaned up. This was the top of that flange, so this has to go on parallel to that guy. And then it has to go on right about there. So we'll get these guys welded on. We'll get this one on as well. Right about yay. We'll just burn those guys on real quick. All right, we got these guys welded on there, not too shabby. They ought to hold. Next, and the last thing you have to do for like a conventional axle flip is that pin right there. You have to turn that pin around because now that pin has to be on the bottom and the nut has to be on the top. So let's get that swapped over. All right, for moving the pin, you're definitely going to want to use a vise because sometimes there's a little bit of tension between the springs and they'll start to spread. They won't pop off and bust you in the face, but it's going to be really hard to get that pin back together if there's any kind of gap. So you just throw it in a vise and you just swap the pin over. You might need a vise grip to hold the pin on the other side. And that's it. Pull the pin out, put the pin in the bottom, put the nut back on, run her back home. Voila. Pin swap. All right. axle's all back together, I suggest sliding it back under there, bolting leaf springs up before you do the U-bolts, because they might be a little beep, beep, and then you never get it in there. Anyway, this would be good enough for about a 3-inch lift on most of these little pop-up camper trailers. But I'm an idiot, and I want a little bit more. So let me show you what we're gonna do. Like I said, I wanna go for about 5 or 6 inches of lift. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chop that perch off right there. I'm also gonna chop that perch off right there. And then I'm going to install 2 of those bad boys in between there and in between there. With that being said, I have a lot of this square tubing as scrap, and they're all about 7 inches long, which is plenty for these brackets. They're also 3/16. No, is that quarter wall? I think they're quarter wall, so they should be plenty. All right, sweet. Bracket A came off relatively easy. Bracket B did not. I don't know how they had this thing welded on the bottom of this chassis, but it did not want to come off. So what used to look like that, whoop, now it looks like that. So this guy used to be like that, but now we're just going to use this one, and we're just going to build a doubler. This one's way bigger anyway, so I like. And with that being said, I just made 3 more. So I'm just going to go ahead and just cut the other one off the other side and not really worry about anything, and just get the spacing right and double stack them on here. Like I said, I got a lot of these, so these will be the top, and then we'll just weld this under here like so, and we will do the same for the front like that, and then we'll weld these on the frame, and then the leaf spring will go in between that. All right, well, we're running out of battery, and we already ran out of daylight. But this side of the frame rail is all done. Boop, 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 boop. Got those guys chopped off. The other side, this one and this one, they're already welded in. Super excited. So I'm gonna go ahead, hurry up and get this side welded in so I can get this axle back under here so I can show you what the final product looks like. All right, she's back in, it's located. And remember, you gotta tighten up these spring perches after the axle is in, located. It's got a little bit of pressure on it with the jack. Then you can tighten those up. Now you know that your leaf springs are square, hopefully. Let's try to get some tires on this thing. And I've already noticed there's a slight good problem. Yeah, the trailer already needs to come up. Sweet! Well, there you have it. We are back on the ground, no jacks, and we are probably, by my calculations, we're about 5.5 inches taller than we were before. But we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I will show you what this looks like behind the rover in the daylight. Well, minus the crown of the cul-de-sac, it's pretty good. I don't think it's too bad. Quick and slow pan. She's pretty level. Pretty stoked. All right, so we definitely have some tire clearance to the floor level, right? But we're probably gonna do some wheel wells, because if I do want to go with the bigger tire, we'll definitely hit the floor. All right, so there it is. I am very happy with the clearance that we have now. Like I said, I think we are gonna build some wheel wells, but just some little tiny ones in case I decide, you know, we go to like I don't know, not 13-inch rims and tires, but not a bad night. Got the axle flipped, installed new jacks, got it all cleaned up, got the frame all cleaned up, and on to stage next of many. I think we're gonna start doing the floor, and I'm probably gonna end up building some wheel wells here in the near future. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Side note, in my haste last night, leaving the shop to come home because it was getting pretty late, I lost the little up or downer thingy. I put it down at the shop, and then I got home and I realized that I left it in the back, but it is nowhere to be found. I've retraced my steps back to the shop. I couldn't find it. I also made a new one today, and I don't know where I put that one either, so I'm trying to find it. Please hold. Found it. So here it is. It's a piece off a jack handle because it fits in the hole just right. And then this is a sacrificed, I think it's a 7/16. It is. It's a 7/16 Harbor Brake 3/8 socket because it fit right in the end of it. It's about yay long. And because of the jack notch, fits perfect. Now I can use a ratcheto or a drill with a 3/8 bit on it. Impact didn't work so good, but a drill works fabulous on like number 1. Top goes right up, goes right down. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.